Good morning, Jeff.
Morning.
How's everyone was?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Oh, what kind of dog is that? Is that a little wiener dog? Amy, what kind of dog is that?
It's a little chihuahua.
Chihuahua. It's cute. What's his name? Or his or her?
Dookie.
Dookie.
Like
I
a
love
poop.
it. I love it.
Her name is Dookie.
I love that. Good morning, Marilyn. How are you?
Good morning, Chef. I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Oh, my video is off.
Okay.
Good morning, Guillermo.
Morning, Chef.
How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Doing very well. A lot better than yesterday, I'll tell you that.
That's good.
Good morning, Kyle.
Good morning, Chef.
Morning, Jacqueline. Morning, Jackie.
Good morning.
Do you like to be called Jacqueline or Jackie?
Jackie.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay. Morning, Roy. Seems a little staticky.
Okay, so give me a minute and
Yeah, no worries. No worries. Take your time. It's all good. Or is that on my end?
no, you look fine to me. So,
Okay. Okay.
all right, give me a couple minutes.
Yeah, no worries, man. It's all good. We'll get started in a few minutes, guys.
Morning, Chef.
Oh, good morning. How are you?
I'm all right, and yourself?
You know, I am doing a lot better than yesterday. So thank y'all. I
That is
appreciate I appreciate y'all allowing me to cut y'all loose a little early yesterday. So thank y'all. Good morning.
Good morning, Chef. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you. A lot better than yesterday.
Ah, that's good to hear.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all. Hey, good morning, Gary.
Morning, Chef.
I got about 5 minutes. We'll get started in 5 minutes.
Chef,
Yes.
I saw a meme one time, actually recently. Can I send it to you on email?
Yeah,
And
of course.
I think it correlates with the lessons that's been going on.
Yeah, of course. Please
I
send
think
it
it
to me.
I think it might you've seen it?
N-
Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna send it to you right
no,
now.
send it for me, please. Thank you.
I think it might like be a thing to share with.
Oh, that's awesome. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I just saw that and thought it might go along with the lessons and stuff.
That's awesome. Thank you. I'll look at
Sure.
it in just 1 second.
Thank you.
No, thank you. Just a couple more minutes and we'll get started. Amy?
Yes.
That's great. Thank you. I'll put it in. I'll put it into the lecture tomorrow. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I just thought it went along with whatever
Yeah,
was
what we're
with
talking about.
leadership and all that stuff.
Yeah. No, thank you so much. Anytime
Thank you.
anytime y'all find anything like that, please
Yeah, it
don't
was cool.
hesitate to send it to me. Thank you. I'll share it
Yeah,
with the class.
awesome. Thank you.
No, thank you. Excuse me. I'll pick up. Got about a minute or so and we'll get started. All right, it is 6:10. Let's get this party started, right? Well, I want to thank y'all so much for being so kind and nice to me yesterday, and not having a problem with me letting y'all out a little early. So I really appreciate that. I had my procedure, and I think everything's working out pretty well. So thank y'all so much. I so appreciate it. I'm going to be leaving after class today to go back to Austin. So I'll be in Austin, be at home for Friday for our class. So anyway, I just wanted to thank y'all so much. I know I gave y'all probably too much information yesterday and the day before, but I just like to be totally transparent. And that's kind of like the whole, what we were talking about yesterday and the day before, of just being very transparent with your employees and with whoever you're working with, because I think transparency is important, and I thought that correlated well with our day yesterday or today and yesterday. And so what we are going to be doing, the PowerPoints of yesterday are basically, it was a combination of day 8 and day 9. So we're going to be finishing up day 8 and 9, and that is part of the motivation. What we were actually talking about yesterday, and that's kind of day 8 and 9. So probably today is going to be a little shorter day, but I'm going to be giving y'all a little bit of what I kind of homework, but it's more of a thing to start that process, because we're going to be start talking about our project today. And so we're going to be getting that in just to kind of give you a little kind of a heads up on the project. What's going to happen is I'm going to give y'all on every day or every week, I'm going to give y'all kind of little things that you need to complete. Like, for example, this week it's going to be, I want to know what kind of food you want, or what kind of restaurant you want to make, and come up with a kind of a mantra, if you will, of what your how you're going to like your I'm drawing a blank. What's the hold on a second. My apologies. I'm drawing a blank right now. Give me 1 second. Let me pull up. Don't know why I can't think of the. Hold on. Your, like your, what's the mantra, or what the, when a company has a little synopsis of what they believe in and all of that. I can't.
Like a mission statement, Chef?
Thank you. I for some reason I could not remember mission statement. I don't know why. Maybe it's all that medicine I took yesterday. So yes, the mission statement. So I'm going to be asking you to give me a mission statement for your restaurant, and we're going to start that process. So that's kind of what we're going to do at the end of the day, after talking about leadership and finishing up leadership. So my apologies. I'm still have a little medicine in my head. So let's see here. Let me share my screen. And we're going to kind of review a little bit of what we talked about yesterday, how to motivate people, you know, in there's good motivation and there's bad motivation, but motivating and making sure you cross train your employees. You know, cross training is very important, and that helps motivate people because if you cross train your employees, right, they typically they would. Oh, I don't know why it just shut off. If you cross train your employees, they have a more well-rounded knowledge, right? And they understand all the parts of the restaurant. So where they have a more willing to work, and I can give them raises, I can promote them in all sorts of things, as long as, you know, we try to cross-train, you know, the employees, cross-train them. And that also helps with the leadership as well, because if you cross-train your employees, they start becoming leaders. And I think no matter what, you want your employees to become leaders, and you want them to guide, to kind of come up with their own solutions, you know, do all sorts of things to become a good leader. And let's see, how organizations destroy motivation. Okay. How do they destroy motivation? They treat employees like kids, right? Have you ever been treated like a kid before? You know, at a job? Like
Yep.
you're, yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so tell me about it. Tell me what you feel when you're treated like a kid, or you feel like you're, you know, they're treating you like your kid or their kid or whatever else.
I work
You
for
feel like you don't know what you're doing.
Yes.
yeah.
What were you about? Someone was about to say, I work for what?
Yeah, I work for veterans organization, American Legion. And
Uh-huh.
basically, all the members are the owners of the establishment. So everybody that comes into my bar, I'm a bartender.
Uh-huh.
Everybody that comes into my bar, they are owners of that bar, basically. Um, and they try to tell me like, oh, you know, you don't know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do what we say. And my manager sets rules and, you know, this and that. We have a 5-foot rule at 9 o'clock. And if there's not 5 people in the bar at 9 o'clock, then they have to shut down.
Really?
And a lot of times there's been people like at 9 o'clock, then they're like, I'm a member, I own this bar. And I'm like, no, it's my bar. I don't own this bar, but I run this bar.
Mm-hmm.
So I tell you, no, there's not 5 people in here. I have to shut this bar down. And
And
it's a lot of depreciation, you know? So yeah, that's like where it's not there's no owner, I guess. So
yeah.
it just comes down from the members themselves, and they think that they're like above everybody else.
Is it a
because they've
country
been
club?
there. I'm sorry?
Where is this at?
American Legion?
American. Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
they're kind of members, and they
Yeah.
want to
exactly.
they want to tell you, well,
Yes.
hey, I'm part owner, so I'm going
Yes.
to do this, and you should do this, and I want this, and
Yes,
all of that, and
exactly.
they feel like they're above, kind of above the law, or above
Right.
you type of deal.
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
And then
that,
I have to come in and say like, it's my bar. I'm sorry, you know, you're a member. I'm sorry, but it's my bar. When I'm working, this is my bar. I go by the rules from the commander, which
yeah,
is the commander of the American Legion, you know,
Yeah.
of this Host.
of that place. Yes.
Yes, and there's been a lot of times where they say, "Oh, I'm gonna call the commander because whatever."
Well,
But
you know
I
what,
have to.
and you should say go for it. You know, I mean,
Okay.
because of, you know, you're the one in charge. No
Yes.
matter what, even if they are quote unquote part members, or it's
Of
kind of
course.
like a country club in a way. You know, country clubs are part members.
Yes.
Even though that they are part members, they still the if the state comes in or the health department comes in or whatever else, it's your butt on the line, right? It's not
But yes.
theirs.
But on
So,
top of that, I'm a member, so it's my bar too. I'm behind the bar, and I'm a member,
gotcha.
so I make the rules. It's my
Gotcha.
bar, you know. And they say, "Oh, I'm gonna call the commander," and I was like, "Go for it."
Yeah.
And then,
Yeah.
you know, it goes bye, 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 bye.
Well,
But
you get
I
put
make the
in.
rules.
Yeah, you get put into situations,
But it
and that's
doesn't
it.
feel good, you know. It doesn't.
It
at all.
it doesn't, and it makes you not want to work there. It makes you resent your customers, resent your employee, or you know,
Yes.
resent people, and it puts and it puts you in a what I call a foul mood or a bad mood in a way sometimes.
Yes,
So
a
where
lot.
then that could in turn cause more problems, because then you're irritated a little bit more, so you could easily, you know, say something maybe that you shouldn't have said, or in a way that you shouldn't have said it, and then that could cause issues as well. So no, I
course.
get that, and it just doesn't make you feel good whatsoever, for sure. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
How organizations destroy motivation. What are some other ways? I mean, other than on here, what are some other ways that people destroy, or they stifle motivation? Anybody?
So I had a personal experience where I basically wasn't really allowed to grow at work. You know, I did everything within my powerhouse and was looking to get into other things, just so I could be a lot more well-rounded. But
Yes.
I didn't get the support that I was looking for, so
Uh-huh.
that kind of really annoyed me and just set me off. So when I was in the Navy, I was a corpsman, and my background was as a dental tech. You know, all the dentists that I worked with really expected me to go on and go to dental school, but motivation was just like completely shot, because you know there was certain things that I wanted to do in order to get there, and I
Yes.
just got stifled more and more and more. So I was just like, all right, you know what, whatever, like I'm just gonna get out and go do my own thing. So here I am pursuing my dream.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Well, you know, I mean, that's a great change, you know. But I think, yeah, you know, when people stifle you, when they stifle, or you know, take away that motivation, I feel like, you know, they're destroying. I feel like destroying the company, the you know, your employees, because motivation, you know, I mean, if you're not motivating people, or if you're, you know, kind of holding people back because of one thing or another. I mean, I've seen people, like a manager kind of not motivating this one person because this person does a lot of the work for that boss. So they weren't motivated, trying to move someone ahead or any of that sort of stuff. But I mean, it's not being motivated, not having someone that motivates you is very, very difficult at a job. And when they basically try to, you know, hurt you in a way of meaning not you know, treating you like kids. What else can people do to, you know, kill your motivation? You know, yell at you, right? You know, if you have someone yelling at you every day, you're not going to be motivated to work, right? I mean, that's kind of a deal. Or if you feel like someone is belittling you every day or degrading you every day. Those are things that will destroy a motivated person in general. I mean, if you're a motivated person and then, you know, you've got someone that's, you know, are telling you to do unethical things or not legal things. I mean, all of that stuff, you know, creates issues and you know, lack of motivation or lack of wanting to go to work. I mean, here's a good example. I worked at I got a job over the phone. When I moved down to Austin, I got a job at a hotel, and the whole time I was there, or when I first got hired, I thought, man, it's going to be great. It was going to be the Omni downtown, downtown Austin, and you know, I thought it was going to be great because I lived close to Houston area, and I had been to the Omni downtown Houston, and it was really nice and all of that. So I got got the job over the phone because I wasn't living in Austin at the time, and then I got to there, and the executive chef was a horrible person. He was you know, he would belittle and degrade the food and beverage director. It was a woman. He thought women should not work in the industry, and he would belittle, degrade. You know, eventually he got fired. You know, because I actually, you know, went to HR, and it was a disgusting thing, and it made me feel not motivated to go to work every day. It made me not want to work for him. It made me not want to be there. You know, when things are happening, or if someone's, you know, treating someone bad, I mean, that is a lack of motivation for me, because why the heck would I be at this position or be at this job? Or why would I want to be at this job where someone is getting degraded and belittled and, you know, and talked bad about every single day? I mean, it was disgusting. It really was. And in that situation made me not motivated, right? I mean, any of those things. Anybody else have any other stories that you know, about not getting motivated or anything like that?
Yeah, going
Or,
back to the thing that with my organization,
yes.
people try to say like, oh, she doesn't do this or that, because I'm a bartender at the Legion,
Mhm.
and they try to say like, well, she's not attentive and she doesn't do this or that, but every single member that goes into my bar, I mean, they come down, and before they sit down, I know what they're drinking, and I have
Mhm.
it. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
and as a bartender, me personally, like knowing my people that coming in, and before they sit down, I have their drink. You know, and it just puts me down a lot that the members of my establishment just say like, well, she's not attentive, or you know, but there's other people that say like, oh, you know what we like, and you know what we like before we sit down, and you have a setup. But you know, you can say all the positiveness, but it's just the negative little bits, and
Course.
those are
Of
the ones
course.
that really hit you.
And they
So
stick to you. They stick
yes,
to
they
you.
do.
And
Yes,
because, you know, no matter what, we all go to work trying to do the right thing, no matter what. And when people do that, it sticks to you, and it makes you not motivated. It makes you not want to work. And all, you know, it really excuse me, it sours your experience and
Yeah.
your you know your job in general. And a lot of times, just kind of like who is that? Roy, were you talking about? You had to leave. You left a position because people were stifling you and not motivating you and not wanting you to succeed. And I mean, I think that right there is a bad way to run a business. And I think and I'm trying to, my goal is for y'all to all be managers and to run your own facilities and all of that. And remember all of these things that, Amy and Roy and everybody else in you had to go through when people, belittle you or degrade you or make you not as motivated. Because once you get in that position, you need to make sure that you don't do that same mistake, right? I want you to better yourself and not do those things. And that's why, this class is here to help you to get to that point. Let's see,
I think
Go ahead.
I think another thing is favoritism, because generally speaking, when people work together, like who a rock star is, and who an ass kisser is.
Yep.
And when rock stars get recognition, no one's upset. But as long as other people who deserve it get recognition as well. But
Right.
when people know, like, all you do is kiss your managers behind, or you guys
Yep.
hang out all the time after work, and like maybe your wives or spouses or friends, whatever the case is,
Yep.
and those people get a lot of attention, and they always get first pick on like good projects, that type of stuff. That could really be a driving force between the majority of the team and management. So favoritism is another one to watch out for.
So much so, and honestly, you see that on a lot of places, guys, and that's a bad thing. And now, there are there's a kind of a gray line, I would say, because you always know the people that are going to get the job done no matter what. And sometimes you want to you give it to that same person because what the outcome is going to be, because they're they've done it a few times and they have it. But that could be considered favoritism. And guys, I've been around that. You've all probably been around where you feel like, oh, my boss likes this person better than me, or they're treating this person a lot better than they treat me. And that totally makes you feel like not wanted, not needed, not, and we all need that feeling of wanted, right? We all want that to be wanted, right? We need, people want, your skills, or people want this. And if they, if you're playing favoritism all the time, that's going to, first of all, that's going to put a target on that person, right? On the one that, because everybody's going to not really like that one person that's getting, all the stuff over and over again, or the praise all over and over again. What I want to make sure is you get, you don't do that, and you praise everybody. Or type of deal. You don't want to play favorites. That is a bad deal. I agree. Anybody else has any other things that you want to mention? Is that it? I mean, there's probably thousands of things more that help, that stifle or that destroy your motivation. Not your, but everybody's, right? So just trying to figure out what is it that I can do to not destroy or make people not motivated. And motivation is very, very important. Let's see. Stop focusing on the mistakes. Yeah, your mistakes. I mean, how many times do people want to go over your mistake over and over, like what I call beat that dead horse, right? They'll tell you, hey, you made a mistake. Hey, you made a mistake. Or hey, just they keep, hounding you, focusing in all the mistakes instead of focusing in on, okay, what you did right. It's the whole glass half empty, glass half full kind of a deal, right? If you focus in on, instead of saying, hey, you made a lot of mistakes or made a lot of errors, hey, this section is really good, but this section maybe you need to work on. It's like when I taste your food. Okay, so let's say next 6 weeks you have me in your cooking class, and what I always do when I am tasting your food, when I'm eating your food, trying to taste it after you do it, to tell you if it's good or not, I always start off with a positive, put the negative in the middle, and end with a positive. Why is that? Why would you want to do that? Anybody know why I do that?
You want to
So
end on a
it seems
positive
like you're-
note.
I do want to end in a positive note, and who else said that? Who else said
I'm
something?
gonna say, so it doesn't seem like you're tearing them down the entire.
Yes, guys. Being honest, you're not going to get the cooking methods the first time, right? You're not gonna, it might be too salty. It might be too, not enough salt or whatever else. And I don't want to destroy anybody. I don't want to break people's, morale and all of that. So what I do is I always say, give you a positive, because you don't want to hear the first thing when you bring up your plate to me, or when I walk to your station and you present your food. The first thing you don't want to hear is, God, that's disgusting looking, right? You don't want to hear that, or, oh, that looks ugly, or whatever else, because that already puts you in a negative mindset, right? And so where I always want to say, okay, I want to find something that is positive out of that dish at first. And it's usually the look of it. And I'm like, oh, that looks sexy. Or, hey, look at that nice grill marks, or look at that nice sear, or whatever it is. Right. And then I'll go, okay, but you could have done a little bit better on this. And then, but at the very end, I always end with that positive, because I want you to stay motivated, because if I focus 100% on all the negative, I'm not doing myself I'm doing myself disservice, because of you are now only thinking about how horrible you did, and not about what the things that you could have done to fix certain things, right? You're destroying yourself, or you're beating yourself up, and you need that positive reinforcement, right? And you don't want to have someone, yes, you need to know all the things you did wrong. You need to know that. I mean, that is a given, right? But you need to get it. You need to know that, but not someone beat it into you, or degrade you in a way that it's going to cause you problems. And guys, I've seen this done to employees, and you've probably seen it done to employees as well. It's not fun, and I want you to always, I keep a little notebook in my pocket every day, and I write down what went right, what went wrong, or whatever else. And so where when I at the end of the day, I can kind of reevaluate what it is that I messed up. So where people, if I said something to my employees wrong, I will do that because I never want to reinvent the wheel, right? I want to always learn from my mistakes. And I want you to learn from your bosses and your mistakes as well, and never redo that mistake. So I want you to kind of learn these, so where you're not destroying your employees, because people, if you're giving it your all, and then someone, really kind of destroys you, it really puts a number on you, and you really want to just kind of leave or crawl into a hole if someone does that. So try to avoid destroying destroying people's motivation and making them not want to work hard. Let's see. And this is kind of all negative right now because we're talking about not having an environment that motivates people, or a staff member that basically destroys people's motivation. Let's see. Yes, that is a good one. How organizations destroy motivation. Telling employees that they are basically in charge, but they're really not. And Amy, that might be there. Maybe your boss is telling you that you're in charge, but all the other people are telling you, no, you're not in charge, I'm in charge, or I'm doing this, or I'm doing that, right? So where it really it's really a bad deal because you don't know what to do. Your members are telling you to do one thing, you're doing one thing, and you need to make sure that if they have authority, let them have the authority. Let them do the punishing, or whatever it is, or whatever you told them they could do. Make sure that they are empowered when they're, or let them make sure that they know that that's their decisions, not my decisions. Because for example, if someone says, hey, you're in charge of running this special, doing this food special, right? Doing or a drink special. And then really they kind of go around and I make the drink and all of that, or make the dinner and all of that sort of stuff. And then they go, that's not really what I wanted. And they kind of do it themselves. Well, they just took away your power, right? They just took away what they empowered you to do. They told you to come up with a special, and for some reason they couldn't let it go, right? Because some managers can't just let it go and let them do it. So they're going to micromanage, or and micromanaging also is a way to destroy motivation as well. Let's see. You want to take, let's take a 10-minute break. Everybody, y'all take a 10-minute break. Let's come back in 10 minutes. Sound good? Stretch,
Good.
move around. All right, see you in 10 minutes. How about this? We'll start at 7 o'clock. That's, I'll give you 5 more minutes. Give you a little extra.
Did everything go well yesterday at your appointment, Jeff?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, yes, we'll find out. I'll find out all the information in the next day or so. But they had to do a few things, but it went really well. Thank you.
That's
Hey,
good.
Chef. Good morning. It's Kamari. My Wi-Fi is still acting up today, but
All right, no worries.
worries.
No worries. Again, if y'all have problems with it, try your best, and if not, I will post the video online if you can't get it right now. Do the best you can,
Okay.
and you can turn off your mic. You can turn off your camera or whatever else that might help. But it is what it is. Just try your best. If not, it is what it is. But I'll give you about 5 more minutes, and then we'll start. Let everybody. All right, at 7. About 2 minutes, and we'll get started. About another minute, and we'll get started. All right, let me start sharing my screen again, and we will get started. All right, now the one thing I want to make sure you understand is um, when you violate, and it's right here on the slide, but it says once you violate the trust, it is difficult to establish that trust again, and especially when it comes to your employees. Once you lose that trust in your employees, or once they, you lose that trust, the employee or the manager, it is hard to get that back, right? It's hard to get that trust back because you're going to have to do so many more things to try to make that trust come back. So you need to try to do your best to not violate that trust when it comes to your customers, or I'm sorry, your employees, that relationship you have with them. You don't want to be telling people telling people their information, oh, well, this person, has some sort of, problem or whatever else. You don't want to be spreading rumors or spreading, information about all these, about your employees. You don't want to like talk bad about them or any of that sort of stuff. So you need to really have that trust. And once that trust or that bond is broken, it's hard to get it back for sure. Let's see. Let's see, stop, well, here, let's watch this. And we'll discuss.
The last idea is this, is your attitude is your message. The last idea is this, is your attitude is your message. Your attitude and your actions are your message. I was thinking yesterday before coming here, I said, I want my presentation to be a gift for this group. If you walk out of here a little inspired, if you laughed a little bit, if you got a good idea, you got the gift. Our attitude is our message. It becomes our legacy. It's what we give our customers, our clients, I use that word, but your patients, the people that you're serving. It's a gift. Your attitude is your message. It's your brand. It's your logo. It's your culture. It's what you want it to be. It's what people know about you and what they'll remember about you. Here's what people will remember about me. Many years ago, this guy saw me at a conference and he said, hey, we'd like to have you come speak to our company. But the thing is they only hire really famous people, like best-selling, real best-selling, not at my mom's garage sale, but they hire really well-known people, and I have no desire to be famous at all. To me, success is how much time I get with my family and being able to barbecue without burning the house down. If you know me, that's all it is. And so I was all excited, and there are days that we want to put our best foot forward, and even on those days that we put our best foot forward, we're going to stumble. Having a positive attitude doesn't stop the junk from happening. It just equips you to handle it better, gives you the mental stamina, clarity, and creativity to deal with it and to move on and to persevere. And so anyways, they hired me and I wanted to make a good impression. So I went to Walmart and I purchased the most expensive luggage they sell at Walmart. And I packed up for this trip. And those luggage guys who put the luggage on the airplane, they can be very aggressive people. And so they threw the luggage on the plane and the zipper on the luggage broke and everything fell out. And so they tried to reassemble it, but they reassembled it with a good sense of humor. Here's what they did. They put the top of the suitcase in first, they put my clothes in second, and they took 4 pairs of Fruit of the Loom underwear, opened them up, laid them out, and took clear tape and taped it up. You know what the kicker is? I only packed 3 pair of underwear. I don't know who that 3rd pair or that 4th pair belonged to. I think they got it out of Lost and Found. But anyways, I'm trying to make a good impression for this organization that hires the best of the best. And so I get to where I'm going. I meet Tom, who's the CEO of this company. He likes to meet his speakers and stuff before the event. And we're at the baggage claim waiting for my luggage. I had no idea. Life is all about change. I hear this eruption of laughter, and I'm attracted to laughter. And so I asked somebody, I said, "Hey, what's going on over there?" This guy turned, "Somebody packed their underwear on the outside of their luggage." Oh, I gotta see this. So we're watching it come around. I can see it at a distance. It's a double carousel, and we see it at a distance. We're both laughing. Tom's like, "Who does that?" And I chime in. I'm like, "Oh, somebody's clearly not right." And it was such a surreal moment. Here it comes. It's coming around. I was like, "Oh, no." Have you ever had a day like that? You go to put your best foot forward and you just stumble. Is that making a good impression? No. I was so embarrassed I didn't know what to do. I pulled Tom aside and very quietly, to minimize the embarrassment factor, I said, "That was my luggage." Tom looks at me, he's like, "Did you do that on purpose?" Part of my thing. I didn't know what to say. And the whole time it's going around, I'm trying to justify to Tom that that 4th pair of underwear is not mine. Because it was different. It was so different. So Tom says, "Sam, you want me to grab it?" I said, No, let's wait for people to leave." I kid you not, nobody is leaving. Everybody wants to see the underwear packer. I would. And finally it goes around 8, 9, 10 times, and finally I was like, Tom's like, "Sam, we gotta go." I was like, oh man. Our attitude is always being put to the test. Life is filled with changes, challenges, the unexpected, negative people, but how we interpret change is everything. I reached down, I grabbed it, I said, "It's mine." And people started laughing, clapping, and pointing. It was very humbling. And now I have to lift the handle and walk to the airport. That was the worst. We get out to the van, and we're standing outside, and we put it in the back of the van, and we're just looking at it. It's so weird. And I really thought Tom was going to drive me back around and be like, "You know, we're going to let you go home and start your life over again, because this is inappropriate and unprofessional." Tom is a guy who believes in positivity. He believes in his people. He believes that when you treat them valuable and you treat them that they'll make a difference, that they will. And Tom was about to share some of that with me. What a great leader. Leaders do that. He looked at me and he says, "Sam, I got to tell you, in 20 years of hiring the best speakers on the planet," he says, "the reason we hire the best is because I want my people to have the best, because I believe they're the best." But he said, "Today, you gave me the best speech I've ever seen in 20 years. I was like, "Do explain." And he said, "The way you handled that, you didn't throw a temper, you didn't freak out, you weren't negative about it." He says, "How you handled that was everything." And he says, speakers get up and they deliver their message through the microphone and their PowerPoint. And he says, that's great and all, and they're wonderful. But to actually see somebody live their message, he says, that is what it's about, and that's what I love. And he says, the way you lived your message today was awesome. He says, you and your weird underwear can come back anytime.
All right, so that video, I feel like, you know, it's funny, obviously, but hold on a second. But it brings up something where the person that owned that company basically wants the best for their employees, right? Will spend whatever it takes for that employee, for their employees to better themselves and all of that sort of stuff. That right there is a great place that fosters your, that builds you up, basically, you know, and I think it's important that you build your employees up. For example, you know, like, you know, at Le Cordon Bleu, when I worked at Le Cordon Bleu, they wanted me to get certified in whatever kind of certification, because it was good for them. They were going to use like a certified executive chef or certified sous chef because it helped them with their, you know, they could advertise it, but also I bettered myself. They paid for my, you know, tests, they paid for, you know, all that sort of stuff. So a place where fosters good environment where they want to build their team up and that they want to better the team and better your the individuals, because if not, your work staff is going to be stagnant if you don't better them and make them, you know, get them speakers and help motivate them, train them. Training is a big motivator as well. If you get trained properly, you're going to be more motivated than someone that is not trained properly, right? So, you know, motivation does a lot of things, but, you know, it makes people feel good. It makes people want to work at that facility. It makes them, you know, also it betters the employee, betters, you know, don't you want to make your employees better instead of keeping them at the same, you know, in the same level at all times? They're not going to get better. They're just doing the job and doing the same job over and over. I want to make sure that my employees understand and they grow and they learn so where I can, you know, give them promotions and do certain things. So again, motivation is a piece of the pie, a little small piece of the pie, and we're adding little pieces to this pie every single day. And so when we are done with this class, that pie is going to be full and we're going to know exactly how to run and how to treat people and employees and everything else correct, so where you will then have a successful place of business, you know, because, you know, no one builds a restaurant or opens up a business saying, hey, I'm going to close down in 10 months or 12 months or whatever else. No one's going to think that, you know, everybody wants, you know, and if you foster that good, you know, motivation, the good workplace, you get your employees to learn, you know, you teach them, you train them, and it's just a good cycle. So, but having a good boss, having a good owner, or having a good manager, whatever you want to call it, is very important, because it kind of a trickle down effect, right? It goes from top to bottom. If it's chaos up top, right, it's going to be chaos down below, right? And you know, poop runs downhill, right? Everything goes downhill, right? So where, you know, you're going to, if you don't if you don't do the mentoring and training and motivation and all that as a manager, your business is going to not be a good place, and it's going to fail, or it could fail and probably will fail. Setting, let's say, start setting goals, personal goals, and empower your employees to help them, get goals and create goals. And that's kind of what the whole end of the, your end of the year review or mid-year review. Has anybody ever had a mid-year review or an end of the year review where they, your boss or whoever it is that's sitting down with you, kind of reviewing you, do they give you goals, or do you, they say, what is your goal for this year? What are your things that you would like to do this year to better yourself? And making sure your employee, you can have time to let your employees take some time off and go travel or go try new things. I think it's very important to foster a good work environment, and that helps motivate people. I mean, a good motivation for like students sometimes, like when ACL Austin, music, kind of the, what is it? What does ACL stand for? Austin Music, what?
Austin City Limits.
Also, thank you, Austin City Limits. For Austin City Limit, ACL, they will give out, if a student wants to work there, they'll give you a free ticket to go work there type of deal. So we try to foster a good environment by giving you motivation to volunteer at places or volunteer and do some work as well. So we try to, give motivation in some way, but give goals and make sure that your employees meet those goals or exceed those goals. And that's part of the evaluation period when you are evaluating your employees and your staff during, at the end of the year or the middle of the year. Or, sometimes, even when you get hired, sometimes you might have a monthly review kind of a thing until they feel like you understand what's going on. And so I can set goals for you so where, you're not going to, or I can set goals for you as an employee or as a manager, or we as a team set goals for the manager itself or for the employees. But empowering people to better themselves, positive morale. Who wants to, can someone read this? Give me a second to get a drink. Someone read the positive morale, positive morale.
Even when they
Motivation.
understand.
Go ahead.
Even when
Amy.
they understand the importance of motivation, employers often lack the skill and knowledge to provide a work environment that fosters employee motivation. That's because too often organizations don't pay attention to the employee relations, communication, recognition, and involvement issues that are most important to people.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it. It gives me a second to not talk for a second. Yeah, it's important, to do that. I don't think this really needs much more explanation, than what you said. But again, we're trying to make the facility and the employees happy, motivated, in that they want to come to work, all of those things, and positive morale. Who's been at a place with bad morale? Anybody?
Yes, definitely.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm actually trying to decide whether I want to go back to my job or not.
Yeah, and you know what? You and I, we need to later on after class. We should sit and talk about some things that you should do
Yes.
for work, and I'll kind of give you a little bit of advice later on this afternoon. Okay.
Thank you.
What? Anybody else have bad morale?
We had a time where everyone was just down in the slums. Like we were working really hard, and you know, we were seeing a crazy amount of patients.
Yep.
You know, we had a bunch of Marines coming in. We had a bunch of them getting deployed, and you know, we were just seeing so many patients that, you know, no one, like, we would barely even talk to each other at work unless like we really had to. And it, you know, it just gets to the point where you just want to go to work, go home, have a beer, knock out. And
For sure.
you know, like in those moments you have to figure out something to do. So what I did was we had like these little wall clocks. So I took a wall clock and some floss, some dental floss, and I made a little necklace, and I put some patient safety glasses on, and I went around talking like Flavor Flav and like.
That's awesome. But see, that's awesome because you're trying to get some humor, get something, because people get so wall-eyed. You know, you've got this project, you get so narrow-minded, narrow-viewed, where then it's very difficult to that there is any fun or positive morale and all of that. And I think that's important, you know. And Roy, I think that's great, because you realize that with everybody all stressed out, everybody's kind of on pins and needles, and the morale is not that good because of people are just, you know, having to be a machine basically and just do it over and over again. You know, kind of like, you know, it's one of those things where if you don't have that morale or that positive, you know, morale in your workplace, you just get so negative, and everything is negative. You know, and when you talk to your employees, always use positive, you know, things. You know, don't always go for the negative. Negative's easy to beat up people with, but you know, trying to find a positive is important as well. So again, I'm beating this dead horse. Basically, I'm keep repeating myself today, but that's kind of what morale is trying to make sure that people, you know, get what they, you know, keep that positive reinforcement going. Do we need a 5-minute break, or are we good? Because I can do a 5-minute break. We've got time for a 5-minute break if you want.
If you want to.
Does everybody want a 5-minute break? Yeah, I'll give you 5 minutes. So at let's say 7, you know, 25. No, that's not 5 minutes. Let's say 7:30. You want to do that?
Okay, chef, sounds good.
All right, 7:30. But I will be sitting here if you have any questions or need anything.
Hey Chef, it's John here. I'm not sure if you meaning to, but you're sharing your screen right now.
Can you say it again?
I said I'm not sure if you're meaning to, but you're sharing your screen right now.
Oh, great. Thanks, man.
Hello, Chef.
Yes.
Yeah, I was clicking on elements of a concept. It's in week 3, and it won't
Oh.
give me a check mark. And then foundation or something like that won't give me a check mark.
Okay, hold on one second. Let me look right now. It's, which one was it?
Elements.
Week 3?
Yes.
Oh, because just because it's a sheet, it's okay. That's not going to have a check mark on there.
Right.
And then what was the other one?
Like, I think it was psychology. I'm not sure actually. I need to go back to it.
Was it on week 3?
Yeah, there was a couple of them.
All right, let me just look. Let me click. Can you say it again? Stages of production?
Yes. That one.
Okay.
Action.
All right, hold on a second. Stages.
Well, yeah.
Does it open?
Yeah.
Did it open like this?
Yes, but it won't.
Okay, hold on.
And it says, "Congratulations, you made the end of the assignment." But it
Okay.
won't.
Okay, let me look. Let me just keep clicking it and real quick and. Did you write? You need to hit in lesson. Did you
Yes.
hit? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Let me write that down, and I will go into everybody's and. Is that stages of production? Okay. All right, I will I will go in and look at everybody's grade for that one and make sure that it pops up. And then the other one that you asked, don't worry about it. It's just like a sheet. It won't, I don't think it'll put a check mark, but I will make sure that there is no zero or no problem with that. Okay.
And then after that, I can't go on. Like
Okay, hold on a second. Let me go back to where I'm at. So after that, you can't go to week 4?
I mean, okay.
Is it? It should, let me look and make sure that the check your knowledges are open. October 5th, yeah, that's open. Oh, this 3. I'm sorry, you wanted.
Okay, so week 4, I go to menu, pricing, and cost control. And it says lesson will open Monday, October 19th.
You're right. Because unfortunately it opens up for me, so sometimes I don't see it. All right, what's today? The 8th?
Yes.
All right. All right, now that one should open up.
Yeah, it's open.
Okay. Any of those that you see, guys, that will not open up, please just send me a note. And you saw how easy it was to change the date, but unfortunately, when I click on it, it opens. So I don't really didn't really see, but it should be on open on all of those. But anyway, thank you. If there's
all of the week 4 suppliers is closed till the 19th.
Really?
Yes.
God, I swore I went in there. Week 4, which one?
Suppliers is closed. Reducing cost is closed.
Okay. Thank you. I'm gonna fix these right now, guys, just so where it's available for you. You are correct again.
Yeah, all of those are closed.
All right, so that was week 5, you said?
Week 4.
Oh, week 4. Okay, I'm sorry. It keeps.
So 4 and on is closed, actually.
Okay. All right. Well, I will work on the rest of 4 today, just so I don't have to spend a lot of time on class doing it. But I will work on that. My apologies. On week 4, I swore I opened them up, but I will go down to week 4 and open all of them up again for y'all. So my apologies.
Thank you, Chef.
Yes, of course. Thank you for letting me know. And with this online platform, I don't do the portal. So like sometimes when they plug it in or put the class together, the dates are wrong. So my apologies.
Of course. So the check marks that are not getting checked, like say week 3 elements of a concept, we just shouldn't ignore them?
Yes, for right now, because I will look at it. I'm gonna have to look at the grade book and see if it's if what it looks like. But yes, I will look at it this afternoon.
Okay. Thank you.
Unfortunately, I can't look at it right now because I'm about to play that video, but I'll look at it. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
what's more important in communication? What you say or how you say it? Generally, the consensus tends to lean more towards how we say things, our body language, or our nonverbal behaviors, as social scientists call it. And if you look online, you'll quickly find this to be true. Most of the attention, historically and currently, has been paid towards the importance of nonverbal behavior within communication, because nonverbals supply a lot of information that isn't projected or supplied verbally. In fact, as I was looking up examples for this talk, I even came across an article titled, "What TED Talk Speakers Teach Us About Presenting," and one of the things that they focus on is the power of nonverbal. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. Or is it? I want to challenge that. Perhaps what we say, our verbal behaviors, are much more important than we realize. Perhaps what we say has been so much more important now than it ever has been before in history. And perhaps we've been focusing on the wrong aspect of communication for a while. But first, I want to step back and talk a little bit more about communication in general. One of the most important things about communication is having other people understand what you're saying, establishing mutual understanding. After all, communicating can be quite difficult if no one can really understand each other, right? And so, how do people actually even develop a mutual understanding for each other in the first place? Well, previously, researchers and writers have suggested that the development of common ground understanding is largely dependent on interaction partners coming to use the same words in essentially the same way. However, researchers weren't able to test this empirically in order to determine if it's true or not, because there hadn't been anything that could measure what they wanted to measure, which was the extent to which interaction partners use the same words in essentially the same way. Fortunately, though, in recent decades, a new measure called latent semantic similarity, or LSS as I will be referring to it as, was proposed to be such measure. And so what exactly is LSS? So LSS is a measure that is assessed by using a program called latent semantic analysis, which is an automated statistical method that establishes the contextual meaning of any text by analyzing the relationship among the words that are used. In other words, the LSS measure determines how similar two blocks of text or two groups of words are to each other based on the words that are used and how those words are used in relation to other words. So for example, if I'm talking to one of my friends about our weekend plans, the LSS measure would first take all of the words that I say, compare it against all of the words that my friend says, and determine the amount of shared meaning that exists between us within our conversation. And so as someone who studies social psychology and someone who is especially interested in how people come to understand each other, especially the processes and the behaviors that underlie it, my colleagues and I decided to test this measure in order to determine if it can actually be a legitimate measure of how much people understand each other. And so in our very first study, which has been published in the Journal of Language and Social Psychology, we analyzed a sample of videotaped recordings. And in these recordings were a series of initial interactions between pairs of strangers who had just met for the very first time. And so they had never met before, and so they were having a conversation for the first time ever with each other. So we analyzed this, and we also analyzed and measured a wide variety of nonverbal and verbal behaviors that occurred within these interactions. And we found that the LSS measure was indeed a legitimate measure of how much people understood each other. So now we have something that can empirically measure this. Great. So next, we wanted to determine the behaviors that would significantly predict high levels of mutual understanding. In other words, what were the behaviors that were most important when you are communicating with someone and you want to establish common ground understanding. And so in our second study, we again analyzed two completely separate samples of initial interactions that occurred between pairs of strangers again. And then we also analyzed a wide variety of verbal and nonverbal behaviors. And we found that the only behavior that consistently predicted how much people understood each other were their verbal behaviors. The amount of talking that they engaged in, and how many questions they asked each other. All of the other behaviors, like gestures, or smiling, laughing, gazes, nonverbal acknowledgments, all of these nonverbal behaviors were not essential for the development of common ground understanding. Now, that doesn't mean that nonverbal behaviors are not important in communication. They are important when it comes to creating an emotionally pleasant and involving interaction. But they're not important when it comes to developing mutual understanding with each other. And what is important is what we say, the words that we use. And so the science behind this is only one reason why I argue that we should be really focusing more on what we say rather than how we say it. The second reason, and perhaps a more important reason, is the internet. The internet has drastically changed how we communicate with each other on a daily basis, and it has done so in a very, very short amount of time. As most of you will probably remember, the internet became publicly available in the 1990s. And up until then, people primarily communicated either in person, over the telephone, or sent letters, to name a few. Today, how do we primarily communicate? We send each other emails. We send each other text messages. We send each other instant messages. We comment on each other's Facebook statuses. We tweet. If you're on an online dating website, which is becoming increasingly popular, and if you see someone that you're interested in, what do? You send them a message. We engage in this form of communication so much every day, and it has literally allowed us to communicate with anybody on the planet at the touch of our fingertips, whether or not that person is halfway across the world or if that person is right next to us. The internet and the technological advances that have resulted from it have made communication so much easier and has changed the face of communication just in general. And the resulting different types of communication all have one thing in common. They're all primarily text-based. They consist solely upon the words that we use, our verbal behaviors. No one is going to know whether or not you had shifty eyes or that you were nervously twiddling your thumbs whenever you send a text message or an email or an instant message. Our body language, our nonverbals, don't really matter in this type of communication that dominates our everyday lives. And yet, we continue to focus on it. And again, I don't believe that nonverbal behaviors are not important. They are. But if we are to live in a society where we primarily engage in this type of communication, where this type of communication is so largely intertwined with our sense of self, our well-being, and our livelihood, we should adapt accordingly. And we should begin to place more importance on the behavior that we engage in the most and that has the most influence, the words that we use. We should be focusing more on what we say rather than how we say it. Thank you very much.
All right. Yeah. Okay. When it comes to verbal, nonverbal, and verbal skills, like, for example, and I'm going to move my camera down a little bit so y'all can see. But if I'm like sitting here like this with my arms crossed and my eyes squinted, and just kind of with a, I mean, I always have a resting bitch face, but RBF. But the whole thing is with all of that, people can take that, take that and think that, oh, Cliff's pissed off, he's gonna be mad, or I don't want to, approach him, or he's not approachable, or when I'm talking to you, I'm just kind of like this, or pointing my finger at you, or whatever else. Those things you need to be careful about as well. But the most important thing now is we text people, right? We email people, we instant message people, all of what she was saying. But and we communicate to our employees mostly through text or email or something like that when it comes to kind of communication. And the problem with that, people can read into whatever words, and they can, if they can say, okay, if I text message, so Amy, when are you going to get this project done? Okay, and that was just, okay, a question, right? But Amy could take that and she could hear, Amy, when are you getting this project done? Kind of me being like pissy or aggressive, but it's in her mind what she thinks. And I see text, in all caps. That means you're yelling at me. I don't want, you need to be careful with how you, what kind of communication you do and how you communicate it, because people can take your words and figure it out and manipulate it and think that you're angry or whatever else. You need to be very careful with your communications and be aware that people can take whatever. I mean, has anybody ever gotten a text message? I mean, I'll be honest. I've gotten text messages from my wife, and I'm going, and I'm reading it, and I'm going, dude, why is she so angry, or why is she so upset? And then when I call her, and then I like, hey, what's going on? And she's like, I read it in a different way, right? I took it in a different way. So people can take your text messages and take your messages or whatever, because they don't see you, right? They don't see you. They're just reading words from a phone, right? Or from your device. Well, you can make, you can make someone get upset by just typing. I mean, we have a chef instructor, I'm not going to say his name, but every single time there's an email that goes out, and for some reason, if it's in caps, like someone accidentally, puts a sentence in caps or all in capital, he was like, why are you trying to yell at me? He takes that very negatively. And then someone replied, sorry, I hit cap lock. And but he took that, he took that meaning like, they were angry at him or they were chastising him in some way. So you need to be very careful with how you phrase and how you word things when it's in a text message or when it's in a message, like a written kind of a message, because people can read into it a little differently because they don't have any other things to guide them, right? Because usually if I'm communicating verbally straight to you, you can tell if I'm giving you the stink eye, or if I'm giving you, or if I don't, if I'm half listening to you, or if I'm, you can tell all that when I'm in front of you, but when it's a text message or any of that sort of stuff, you can't. So you have to be very careful on what you put down. Does that make sense to everybody? Because people can read into it more. Just think of your text messages you've gotten over, from somebody. You think they're pissed, but then you call them up and they're not. So, and it's just because of you're reading it in a different way. And you're taking it in a different way than what they meant to say or whatever else. So, because people take words literally, right? Good example. Here is a good example of literal. My wife and I, we've been married. My wife and I, it'll be like 24 years this December. All right. So, my wife and I have been together a long time. We started dating. She was 17, I was 18, and I'm in my late 40s now. So, I've been with her a long time. Right. So the issue is if we were in an argument and I said, I'm done with this. I'm through. This is stupid. I'm done. And that's exactly what I said. And in her mind, she heard, Cliff is done with our relationship. I'm done with our marriage or whatever else, right? So I said to my wife, Aline, I'm done with this. This is stupid. We're done. I'm done with this. And she took that in a different way. So you've got to be very careful. And I was just done with the argument because the argument was stupid. Right? We were arguing over something stupid. So I was kind of done with that, but she took it in a different way. So you have to be very careful on what kind of verbiage and what you say to your employees, because people can take it a different way and in a negative manner or in different manners. So you've got to be very careful on your communication skills. And communicating is so important. Non-verbal, verbal skills, if let's say I walk by and I just kind of, I have a hard time hearing, especially in the kitchen with all the ovens on and the vent hoods on and all of that. And a lot of times I don't look at you in your eye when you talk. I kind of turn my head and I try to hear, to get to listen to you a little bit better. And some people take that like I don't want to hear them or I'm not listening to them. So I always have to say, hey, I can't hear very well because of the vent hoods and all the pots and pans. And sometimes I kind of turn my head to listen to you. So it's not that I'm trying to, avoid you or anything like that. So you need to know, and you need to know if you have a RBF, right? My wife and 2 daughters tell me, Cliff, I have RBF 24/7. I just have that kind of look like I'm pissed off all the time, and I'm really not. But I need to tell my employees that, right? Because if my employees don't realize that, Cliff just has 100% of the time RBF, then people think Cliff's in a pissy mood, so I'm not going to come talk to him, or I'm not going to want to communicate with him or whatever else. So, you have to be very aware of who you are when you're managing because of, and how you communicate. And very, very important because guys, I could probably ask you right now, and everybody could say that there was a point where you were communicated that you felt like they were, aggressively communicating with you or whatever else, or that you think that people are pissed off and they're really not. You've just got to really be careful. That is the word of advice I have to say, because you have to be approachable. You have to be approachable to your employees, right? You want your employees to approach you. You want customers to approach you. If I'm sitting in a dining room, if I'm a waiter or whatever else, and I'm just sitting there like this, you know, and just kind of sitting there, you know, that doesn't look approachable. You know, it looks like, you know, I'm ready to, you know, fight, or if I've got my, you know, fist all like this, and, you know, I mean, it's not approachable. So you need to make sure you are approachable, and that your notes or your calls that you leave, you know, you can't be so aggressive with people, because people will shut down. When people get aggressive, if someone kind of gets loud and aggressive and all of that, how many people shut down and just kind of try to just, okay, forget it. I'm not gonna mess with you. I'm shutting down. I'm not gonna do any more. I'm gonna just kind of do whatever, you know, very quietly do whatever I need to do. And that doesn't foster a good work environment, right? You know, it fosters a aggressive work environment. It fosters a you feel, and I can't change your feelings, right? That's your feelings, right? So my actions of me crossing my hands, or me kind of giving the stink eye or whatever else, or just me, you know, maybe not feeling well, you know, because there's some days where I just don't, you know, with my leukemia, there's some days I just don't feel good, right? And so when I'm not feeling good, I just have this kind of look on my face, and people are not going to want to communicate with me, right? And talk to me. So you've got to be, and I'm beating this dead horse even more right now, because I want you to know communication is so important. Because if you can't communicate properly with your employees, you're not going to have employees, plain and simple. So keep that in mind. Let's see. Successful restaurants. Let's see. Successful restaurants, empower your employees. I will empower my employees to do what it takes to get the job done. I will train my employees properly, and always show them what I want them to do. So practice what I preach. If I want good communication skills, or if I want them to give me good communication skills, I need to give good communication skills to them. So it's a give and take relationship. So, and also when you are an employee, you know, you've got to be aware of, you know, your communication skills, because if you don't communicate correctly to me and or to whoever your manager is, or your boss or owner, you're going to fail as an employee. Like I always tell my class when I'm in, you know, no matter what, marriages fail. One of the reasons why marriages fail is communication. Okay, communication, lack of communication, or not communicating properly, and communicating where people understand it. So that very important. Working in front of the house, back of the house, guests. You need to, you know, who's done wait staff? Who's been a waiter or waitress? Anybody? I know we have a few people.
Yep, definitely.
So when you're communicating with the customers, you've got to, especially at this point in our life right now in 2020, everybody's kind of on edge, right? Everybody's on edge. Everybody's kind of a little bit, you know, wary of someone. Is someone gonna, you know, I mean, you know, if you're not wearing you know, people will yell at you and scream and create these things, and you know, like the Karens of the world, right? Or what are the guys? Is there a guy Karen, or anyway? Do what?
Call them Kens or Kyles sometimes.
Kens and Kyles. Okay, thank you. But you know, those, you know, you need to be very careful, because you don't know what's going to set people off, right? You do not know how it's going to your communication skills could set people off and make people aggressive by just because of you have an aggressive stance. If you have an aggressive stance for some reason, or if I have that resting bitch face and people think it's that, you know, that I'm trying to aggressively, you know, look at them or whatever else, you have to be very careful with the front of the house now. You know, back of the house, you're behind closed doors. You don't get to see too many people, but we do have open restaurants, and restaurants that, you know, have open areas where you can see the people cooking. But no matter what, you need to communicate to your guests properly. If not, you're not going to have any guests, and no guests means no money, and no money means no employees, no business, no everything else. So very, very important to communicate correctly. Let's see. Who's been at a restaurant, or who's been to Dick's restaurant? It's called Dick's Last Resort. It's in San Antonio. I don't know if anybody's been there, but Dick's restaurant, Dick's Last Resort restaurant, they are actually, that restaurant is made for people to be rude. You know, they're rude to you, and that's kind of what they do.
Yeah, they have one in Las Vegas too.
Yeah, so, you know, it's like they're like throw a menu at you, or they'll like make you wait for a long period of time, or they'll like, you know, but that's their thing, right? That's their thing that they do. But I especially now, it would be very difficult to have a business something like that, because you have so many people with their having their emotions right on their sleeve, right? And you've got to be very careful with that. And I've seen at Dick's Last Resort also fights with wait staff because and customers, because the customers don't understand the concept of Dick's Last Resort and the rudeness and all of that. And you've got to be very careful. Communication completely screws up things, or could make things perfectly amazing. It's just how you communicate. Okay, communication skills, you know, taking orders, table service, reservation, pay, checking out, any sort of things like that. You gotta communicate, plain and simple. You gotta communicate, and you've gotta communicate in a way that's non-threatening, that is, that also explains everything properly. You've got to explain it properly. And sometimes, guys, I can explain something to you and maybe you don't understand it. Then I get someone else to explain it to you. Now you understand it. It's just how you present it to somebody, right? It's how you present things to somebody, and how you want to, I could talk like this or whatever else, or I could talk very aggressive, but also I can just talk with a very monotone, very light, very, easygoing voice, instead of a very aggressive, hey, let's get this done type of stuff, or like what I call my dad voice, like, let's get this done, come on, or whatever I'm yelling at my kids about, one way or the other, cleaning up their trash.
A favorite thing I've learned is, I can explain it to you, but I can't understand it for you.
Amen. And again, you can lead them to water. You can't make them drink it, right? So you try, you communicate the best you can. But again, sometimes you can't make them understand it. Exactly. Okay, now let's talk about, is my hostess, who is my hostess? That was a hostess at a restaurant. Anybody? A host or hostess? A restaurant? No? All right. We've got, let's see, being a host or hostess, very important because that's the very first person you see in that restaurant. The minute you go to that person, that's the first initial person you should have probably, maybe the parking lot, but maybe the parking attendants or the valet people, maybe the first people that you really saw, but the first person that you see in the restaurant is the hostess or the host. And, if they don't have a smile on their face, if they don't greet you properly, it sours your experience, right? And I would have to go, if I would have to make amazing food to make your experience perfect. And sometimes, because of you've already had a bad experience and you already got a bad taste in your mouth, you're already kind of irritated. So it's going to sour the whole experience of your dining experience or whatever experience you're trying to get. So you need someone that is very friendly, very talkative, very communicates properly, that will always have a smile on their face. Someone not like me, because I might smile, but I have a like a resting bitch face. So you don't want someone that's like that, because of it really causes puts a barrier in between your customer and your employees. Taking orders, when you're taking orders, you got to communicate. You got to make sure you take the order correctly. You've got to make sure that if people are asking you what's in the dishes, you've got to explain the ingredients or how it's made. You need to have those communication skills when it comes to just explaining the menu in general. If a waiter or waitress doesn't understand the menu or that doesn't know what's on the menu, then that doesn't make me feel good about my experience in what I'm going to be doing or what I'm going to be spending all this money. My experiences might be soured. Table service, again, learning how to, not be rude, watch people, in how they're eating, when they're done. Take those little clues of, putting the fork and knife down on the plate and kind of in the center of the plate. That tells me that they're done with their food. If they prop up their fork on their plate and kind of resting it on the table, that means that they're not done with their food. So where I can look at the verbal and nonverbal skills that you're having with the customers. A good waiter or waitress can see the customer. If the customer's kind of looking around like this, kind of turning their head around, kind of trying to look for something, that's a good indication that you need to go over there and find out what they need, because they're looking for somebody to communicate with, to talk to, or to get something that they need. So making sure that the communication skills are there. Complaints, how to deal with complaints, how to deal with you need to double check your food. The waiter or waitress needs to check the orders before. But what if the waiter or waitress got the order wrong? What do they do? How do you deal with that? How to communicate? Hey, I'm sorry. I will do this. I'll comp you this meal. I will, whatever it is. Or if there's hair in the food, or if there's some sort of foreign object in the food, whatever else, you just need to make sure you understand how to deal with complaints and not get aggressive when they're complaining. And that sometimes is a very difficult thing to do. And you got to train your staff to, when people are complaining, come find me. come find the manager, come find the person, let them get involved. Because the manager or the owner or someone that's in the management staff, I mean, you can kind of deal with it a little bit as a waiter or waitress, but if it gets more and more, let us deal with it, because that's part of my job and part of your job as a manager, to deal with these complaints, to deal with, you know, and I say deal with, you know, but, you know, to handle, if you will, all the complaints in a satisfactory manner. Because you know, I understand customers are not always right. You know, I mean, you try to, you always want to, especially now, because people are going kind of a little to the extreme with the Karens and the Kens and all of that. It's to the extreme. But you know, making sure that you make your customers feel satisfied, that their complaint got heard. Maybe, you know, sometimes you don't have to act on those complaints, but all they need to do is for you to hear their complaint, right? And maybe they don't need any action. They just want to complain to you. Then, you know, that again, I've sat and listened to complaints about other things that's not in my control one bit, you know, complaining about the weather or complaining that they got rained on coming in. I mean, okay, you know, that's fine, you know, but I listened to them. I'm so sorry to hear that. How about I bring you a towel to kind of dry yourself off or whatever else. You know, something to try to deal with those complaints, because I don't want you never, ever, 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 ever want to escalate any during the complaints. You never want to escalate it. And if you are, you know, you've lost. You have lost. You know, even though there might not be a winner in the situation, you lost control, and you're not going to ever, and you potentially could lose your job, you know, because you lost control, or you called, you know, I mean, I'm rewatching Dexter right now, and you know, there was I was watching it last night, and there was a lady that you know was saying, hey, why aren't you being, you know, at a restaurant, someone was saying, why aren't you being such a bitch, you know, to the waitress, and this was on a TV show, but and it was like, you know, that could escalate really fast, right? You know, calling names or any of that sort of stuff, that could really escalate. So you've got to be very careful with how you handle certain things, and the you know, try not to get them to escalate it anymore. And no matter what, if there's complaints, try to remove them remove the customer from the dining room. Take them in somewhere else, or take them somewhere if they're getting belligerent. Try to remove them from the area so where it's not making a nuisance. You're not creating a scene. When you're dealing with payment, you know, there's different types of restaurants, different types of payment procedures, all of that. But, you know, dealing with, you know, your customers and making sure your employees, when they are handling the money and the employee or the customers' credit cards and all of that sort of stuff, you need to make sure your customers or your employees understand that, you know, this is not their money, it's not their credit card. You need to be very careful with it all. You got to manage that, and you've just got to manage when people are paying, you know, people are in a rush or whatever else. You've just got to be aware of your surroundings and be able to communicate with your customers and the employees. Has anybody ever had to communicate to someone that their credit card was declined? You know, I mean, in how, and then they, you know, you're telling them it's declined. Well, they're embarrassed, they're frustrated, so they're getting upset. They might yell at you or run it again or do it again or whatever else. And, you know, in having a way to communicate and trying to, you know, understand that they are embarrassed, they are frustrated, they are upset. Now they're at a place, maybe they only have one credit card, they're worried, all of that sort of stuff. But trying to communicate all of this in a way where it's very monotone, you know, even though that people are getting aggressive, hey, I'm trying to you know, resolve this and just make sure that the customers know that you are trying to resolve it. Closing, you know, I mean, the very last thing, it goes from starts at the very beginning of the valet to the very end. And when you leave, you know, what if there's a bunch of trash on the ground, or if the valet person is being rude to you, or the valet person is not around, or they can't find your keys, whatever else, you know, all sorts of things that could sour the experience. And but you have to have good communicators throughout your business. If you have one negative or one person that can't communicate properly, it's going to snowball, and it's going to get and then you're going to have issues with customers, and your satisfactory you know, you're not going to be satisfying the customers and your employees if you're not communicating with your employees properly as well. Kitchen communication, you know, let's see, hold on. Did it stop sharing, or am I still sharing?
You're still sharing.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. All right, kitchen communication. When you are communicating in a kitchen, you got to talk a little louder, you know, because kitchens are loud. I've got to be clear and concise to what I want my employees to do. I need to make sure that people hear me. And when I say communicate, in what we have, we call, I want to hear what called recall. When I say, you know, something, people will say, yes, chef, or whatever else. I'll say, ordering 5 New York strips, medium rare. And then they will recall it to me, chef, ordering 5, you know, steaks, medium rare. And that makes sure that I know that that person heard what I had to say and understood what I had to say. So you're going to hear a lot of what I call recall, or heard chef, you know, any sort of communication. When I say something, I want to hear heard chef, yes chef, whatever else, because I'm giving orders, and sometimes it's one of those things where I need to make sure that you hear it and you understand it. And when you recall it to me, that tells me that you understand it and that you know what I'm talking about. Like, especially when it comes into ordering, you know, when I'm ordering food for the service or whatnot. But you need good communication skills when you're in the line. Who's works in a kitchen right now? Anybody work in a kitchen?
I work in a kitchen, chef.
Okay, so you know, communication. When you know, when you're in a kitchen, you know, you've got to speak loud, right? You've got to, you know, understand what's going on. You know, when you're walking behind people with a knife, you need to say knife behind. You need to communicate with people, because if not, you're not going to do the right thing. You're going to get hurt. You're going to, you know, not, my employees are not going to be doing exactly what I want them to do. whatever else. I mean, how much communication is in a kitchen? How much communication is in a kitchen?
We're constantly communicating in the kitchen. You're always hearing behind when we're walking behind people because the kitchen itself isn't that big. So you're constantly like interacting with people. You're asking people like to confirm like, hey, that person said no tomatoes, right? Before you make it. So you make sure you don't make it wrong. And you're like constantly like rechecking what you're doing, making sure you're getting out the right orders to the right people. Because a lot of our runners are inexperienced. You got to make sure you tell them like, hey, this is supposed to go to this place.
Amen. I completely agree with you. I think communication especially in the restaurant industry is huge, because everything, because the ticket machine, the expediter, the person that's calling out the orders has got to communicate that. I've got to communicate if I'm cooking the food. I got to communicate and say, hey, I'm 5 minutes behind, or hey, when is this plate going to be ready? 5 minutes, chef, or 1 minute, chef, or making sure that everybody is on the same page. And to make sure that everybody's on the same page, you've got to communicate. And you've got to make sure your team, understands the communication skills and understands that when you're in a kitchen, you need that recall, you need that reassurance, because what if that tomato, what if someone puts those tomatoes on that sandwich or puts those tomatoes on that whatever, and then it goes out to the customer and they say, I'm sorry, I didn't order, I didn't want tomatoes. And then it comes back to the kitchen. When it comes back to the kitchen, I've got to remake it. I'm not just going to take off the tomatoes. I'm going to remake the sandwich. So that means that I'm losing money. So the poor communication skills that my waiter or waitress had is now costing me money. And that right there is something that then it's going to add up and add up and add up, and then I'm losing money, and then I'm not making enough money to keep my business afloat, and that's sad. So you got to be very careful with that. But in making sure your employees, like Heidi was saying, over communicate. In a kitchen, you very rarely over communicate. You can communicate so much, and it is important to make sure you explain yourself properly. And again, you probably are so tired of hearing me say communicate, but again, that's kind of what it is to make you successful in a business. One of the things is communication skills, nonverbal and verbal, as well. It's a snowball effect when it comes to actually communication. If I'm not communicating right, then let's say one order was late and then another order, and then we're so behind. And you call that in the industry, when you're in the behind, you're in the weeds. You're just so deep in the weeds, you can't get out of it. And that's when, because of the communication skills, because you didn't communicate to the chef, hey, that well done steak needs 5 more minutes. And if you didn't communicate that, and he or she is expecting that steak to be ready whenever he says he or she put it up, well, if you don't communicate, I need 5 more minutes, chef, the steak's taking longer. If you don't communicate that, and I don't know it, then that totally throws off our timing and throws off a lot of stuff. And then things will die, what I call in the window, sitting on this pass right here, or sitting on this shelf, because of it got cold, or we were waiting on another order. So communication is very important. And be a good listener. When and I keep saying, communication is good, but you need to listen as well. And when you listen, and to make sure that you listen or you heard it correctly, then I asked you to recall it. So, ordering 5 steaks, you recall and say, chef, 5 steaks, medium rare, or 1 medium, 1 well done, whatever else, and you recall it. So that tells me that you listened properly and that you heard me correctly. But listening is also important in, listening and communicating is all the same to me. You've got to listen and communicate all at the same time. Giving constructive criticisms, and I've kind of talked about that just a second ago when it came to me grading your food. You need to. The one thing that I try to make sure you understand is that you're coming here. And I'm talking about me teaching or communicating, giving constructive feedback. You are here, you are coming to this school to learn, correct? If you did not want to learn, you wouldn't be here. So constructive criticism, constructive communication is very important. Making sure that you understand what went wrong, what was the bad thing, but constructive, instead of me saying, dude, you're stupid. If I just say, hey, you're stupid, well, that communicates only one thing, that you think this person's stupid or whatever else, right? So that's not a communication. Constructive criticism is, hey, you know what? On that piece of steak, I would have got a little bit better grill mark on that, or I would have let it go for about another minute longer because of it should not be that rare or whatever else. So, making sure that you give that feedback when it's needed. But sometimes, guys, the feedback is not wanted and it's not needed at that moment in time. You have to make a judgment call as a manager and as a boss. Is it important to have that, to communicate what was wrong right then and there? Because what if it could kind of slow it all down. I'll wait, and if something happened during service, we will talk about it at the end of the night, at the end of the service, or if I need to, I can stop it and communicate. But you need to know, sometimes you don't have to immediately communicate, or criticize or do, kind of get on people's case right at that moment. You might need to wait until later, until the moment is right, until you have that time. But in the kitchen, guys, it gets heated. It does get heated sometimes, meaning, I'm demanding a lot of things from you. I'm always, everything is on a timely manner, and, and everything's time. I want things fast. And I'm pushing you to get it fast and all that, and just trying to make thing. All right, best time to do it. Let's see. When people are hot, busy, and no time available, and it's busy. Restaurants you never have time. You're always behind. You're always got things going on. You're always running around with chicken with the head cut off type of deal. So making sure that you have those communication skills, so where people understand that, when you're busy and you're running around and you're hot and you're behind and all of that, communicating in the proper way is the most important thing. Let's see, like I was saying, kind of, I want to hear you kind of recall or talk. Like when you're in your kitchen, you're going to hear hot, behind, you're going to hear heard, you're going to hear corner. Like when you're walking around a corner, if you got a tray of food, and you say corner coming out or corner coming in, something, you're just announcing yourself, because people are running around, people have things in their hand, hot, things, sharp things, you name it, but making sure you communicate and kind of engage with other people. Because if you have a knife in your hand and someone's right behind you, and kitchens are small, why are they small? Does anybody know why kitchens are small? Like tiny, smaller than the dining room?
Maximize seating space.
Exactly. You don't make money in the kitchen. You make money in the dining room, right? The more people you can put more butts in a chair, the more money you can make, right? So kitchens are small, because you don't want people to be walking around a lot or whatever else, but also it's just because of more money is made with tables in the dining room, not big kitchens. Big kitchens doesn't make money for you. Dining rooms make money for you. So just knowing all of that, and having tight quarters, like when I'm cleaning a fryer, like cleaning, taking the fryer grease out. I've got a pot of 300, 400 degree fryer grease sitting right beside my station. And if you're not paying attention or not communicating properly, someone can get hurt and die or whatever else. So you've got to be very careful. Let's see. Always keeps line of communication open. Again, beating that dead horse. Show appreciation, and I've said this yesterday. I think I said it the day before, and I said it this morning. People want to feel valued. People want to feel like they are wanted, they are needed, they are appreciated. All of those things, people want to feel that way. I sure as hell do. So you need to make sure you show appreciation. You need to pat someone on the back. Way to go. Good job. But that is something that is so important that I feel like some managers do not do. And I feel like they are not doing, not going to have a team that will bend over backwards for you, that will do whatever it takes, to get the job done. If you know that I appreciate everything that you do, you would work harder for me. You're going to do more for me, right? If you know I appreciate what you do, that I respect you for who you are, I respect what you do, all of that, you're going to work harder. So make sure you tell your employees you appreciate them. Okay. And that goes so far. Who's been in a place that, that they really foster a good, they appreciate who you are and what you do for the company? Anybody?
I personally have, and it definitely does make a difference. It just motivates you to do your best, like you just said. And you also just feel comfortable in the work environment when you feel appreciated.
I completely agree with you. People, if you don't feel like you're appreciated, you feel like you're being used. Who likes to be used?
Right. No one likes to be used. And then you also have to think like we spend majority of our time at work. So feeling not appreciated, I just wouldn't want to be in that environment. Like
I completely agree with you. And you know what? And I've been in those situations where, you know, you feel like because you're at work. I mean, I'm at work more than I am at home. You know, so that means that, you know, I want someone to appreciate what I do because I put in my all. I you know, no matter what, you know, people will try their best, but you know, if you don't appreciate it, they're not going to do it. They're not going to bend over backwards. They're not going to fight the battles that you want them to fight for you, or they're not going to be your go-to person or your go-to employees. Everyone makes mistakes. Please understand that, guys. Guys, I am the first one when let's say I'm doing a cooking demo for y'all, showing you how to make hollandaise sauce or something like that. If I screw something up, I immediately show you that, hey, I screwed it up, you know, because I want you to understand that even a certified executive chef, someone that has done it for a while, that knows it, can still screw it up. Okay, I want you to know that it's okay to screw up. It's just how it affects you. Okay, that's the one thing I tell my employees. I don't care if you mess up. Messing up is part of it. You know, when you know, depending on well, not employees. Let's talk students wise. You know, screwing up food. It's okay to screw up food because you haven't done this before. You haven't done it 50 million times. But I want you to understand it's okay. As a professional, we strive for perfection, correct? We strive for perfection. But as a professional, we never will get perfection because we're always trying to do better and better and better. We never get perfection because we're always going to see, as a professional, I'm always going to find some sort of mistake. Even if I did the best cooking demonstration ever, hands down ever, I will still find something that I did wrong that I need to work on. But I try to make sure people understand that it's okay. It's okay to screw up. It's okay to burn something. It's okay to have to throw away something because it's too damn salty or whatever else. Well, but what I need you to understand is it's okay to make mistakes, but let's try not to make those same mistakes. What bothers me is when people do the same mistake over and over again. They didn't learn their lesson, and that means that then maybe that communication, I'm not communicating right, and maybe they're not understanding it correctly, something, but I need to reevaluate what's going on. So just make sure it's okay. It's okay to make mistakes, and make sure that your employees are, to a point. Everything is to a point, right? You can't, if you're gonna overcook 5 or 6 steaks in a row, well, that's you're hurting me and my bottom line, right? That mistake is hurting me. So that's maybe when I might not understand, but until you get it down, it's okay, as long as you learn your lessons as you're going along. Let's see. All right, this is the last little video and the last little section, and then once we're done with this, class is over, all right? So I'm gonna show this video.
Hi there, this is Anna from 7 Shifts. In a fast-paced restaurant workplace, effective communication can often get lost in the hustle and bustle of operations. However, team communication is not something that should be overlooked. A 2014 survey from About.com found that the top 3 reasons why people do not like their jobs were communications related. When communication breaks down is when orders can get mixed up, shifts can end up being no-shows, and inventory orders can be missed. If you work in a restaurant yourself, you've probably already experienced one or more of these things firsthand. In order to keep restaurants running smoothly and to work as an efficient team, these are a few tips that can help you keep your restaurant connected and in sync to enable managers and staff to communicate clearly from anywhere.
Number 1, use a work-specific medium. Your employees don't want to join another Facebook group to receive updates from work. With Facebook's endless digital feed noise, it's difficult for important work details to cut through. Plus, managing Facebook groups can present another challenge. For example, you may run the risk of having an employee leave the restaurant but still remain within the group. It's also possible that your employees will not want to share their personal social media accounts with everyone they work with. Luckily, another option exists. Work-specific employee communication tools are a new solution impacting more than just restaurants. Platforms like Slack are overtaking offices everywhere thanks to work-specific communications conducted over an immediate chat-style interface. Software options like this are great for both business owners and employees and will drastically improve productivity. By using restaurant scheduling software like 7Shifts that offers in-app chat functions, you'll have access to work-specific communication channels for employee group chats and one-on-one conversations. You can also send announcements to keep the entire team up to speed. You'll be able to easily control who's in the group, monitor any instances of abuse, and send important messages to your employees' smartphones, all while their personal information remains privately and securely stored within the app. Number 2, avoid miscommunication. It's always a good idea to set ground rules within your communication tools, as text-only methods can be misconstrued. To avoid miscommunication mishaps, Harvard Business Review recommends that employees envision the message's recipient actually receiving the message. It's the put yourself in someone else's shoes adage brought into the digital age. Before hitting send, employees should consider whether this is the type of message they'd be happy to receive and only proceed if the answer is a confident yes. This is best practice for both digital and in-person communication. For example, a little extra detail can go a long way towards ensuring a message comes through as intended. When text-based messages arrive, they are devoid of the human emotion and social cues we depend on when speaking face-to-face. While a simple "okay" might be sent with the best intentions, a "yeah, that sounds good, I'll be able to take that shift" text would remove ambiguity and be more helpful than a vague reply. Number 3, set expectations. Millennials prefer texts as their primary mode of communication due to the speed of use. According to OpenMarket, 83% of millennials open messages within 90 seconds of receiving them. But not everyone is the average millennial. Some people read and reply when they are available and not immediately. A good guideline is to ask that employees respond to each other promptly, even if only to say that they'll respond in detail later. When dealing with time-sensitive interactions like shift swaps or sick day coverage, response time matters. Your employees should think about it if it was them looking to swap a shift or get information. How long would they want to be left waiting for a reply? Consider a standard turnaround time. For example, 4 to 6 hours or 1 business day, to give employees peace of mind that their message will be replied to.
Team communication is vitally important if you want your workforce to be happy and working as effectively as possible. Think about the ways you can use these tips in your restaurant. Once you implement them, you'll be amazed by how much everyone on your team will appreciate it. If you would like to learn more helpful.
So that was kind of a recap of kind of what we talked about a little bit. Now, I did say that I was going to talk about the project, but since it is kind of almost 9 o'clock, I'm okay with we'll go over the project tomorrow and get you set up for the project in your homework for over
Chef,
the weekend. Yes.
when you say project, is it the final project?
Yes. So what's going to happen? Let me stop sharing real quick. All right, hold on. Or am I sharing still?
No.
No, you're not
Okay,
sure.
good. Okay, good. All right, so let me show you, and I will post, tomorrow I'm gonna show you examples of the final project, but the project is going to be, we're gonna do it piecemeal. So like, this week or this weekend, we're gonna work on a little section of it. And then next week, we're gonna work on another section of it. So you're gonna be turning it in kind of throughout. So where at the end, you're not gonna have to do it all at the very end, right? So we're gonna kind of piecemeal this project throughout this course. So where it'll be easier and so where everybody will get the project done. And there won't be any people that don't have the project. So this is talking about the final project. It's called the restaurant. It's a restaurant project. And you might have seen it on the portal. But I'm going to go into more detail tomorrow about that. So if you do miss tomorrow, please make sure you watch the video. For the information of what you need to do for your step one of the project for tomorrow. Okay? All right. Guys, it was great. It was a wonderful day. Y'all have a great rest of your day, and I will see y'all tomorrow. And thank y'all so much for being here and being attentive.
Thank you, Chef. Have a good one.
Chef, have a good night.
Have a great day.
Great day.
Bye, Chef.
Bye, guys. And I'm going to be here if you have any questions.
Hey, Chef. This
Yes.
is Heidi. I just want to make
Heidi.
sure I got marked that I was here today.
Yeah,
Is
I
that-
gotcha. Yeah, I saw you. You came in a little late, I think. Right?
Yeah, Chef.
Yeah. No, I gotcha. Cool. Thank you, Heidi.
I also had one, Chef. It was actually day one. I was there, but it looks like it wasn't marked that I was.
Okay. Hold on one sec. While I'm here, let me fix that. Was that an absence or was that a?
No, I was present.
Okay.
It was,
All right.
so it might have just been overlooked.
It might have been. Yeah. All right. Hold on. Let me get that taken care of before I forget. Stay on the line here until I get it done real quick. So.
Here you go.
And you said, what was that, day one?
Yes.
Okay. And I will email the registrar also to tell them to make sure that they get that taken care of as well. Who was that? All right. Oh, yep, I got you. I'm about to, and I will go in and fix your grade as well. Just fix the attendance. I will send a message to the registrar about that as well. And day one grade. All right, cool. I got you taken care of.
Okay, thank you, Chef. I'll see you.
You're
tomorrow.
welcome. Hey, thank you. And I'll see you tomorrow.
All right, have a good one.
Hey, you too.
Hey, Chef, also on my day too, it was still marked as absent. I know I wasn't there that day, but I did go back and
You
watch
did
it.
go back. Okay, hold on. Can you hold on 1 second and I will fix it while you're sitting here?
Okay.
Thank you. Hold on 1 second. And
All right.
yeah, I got your email, and I think it's just I had forgotten to do that. My apologies. So, what day was that again?
Day two.
Day two. Okay. Hold on 1 second. Yep, I see you. I just fixed it. Let me write a note to myself. All right. Day two. All right, cool. I got it fixed, and I will put the grade in for you. as well.
Okay, thank you, Chef.
You're welcome. Thank you. Anybody else have anything that they need to talk to me about, or are y'all good?
Did you get my email from Monday or Tuesday? It's Kamari.
Yeah, hold on a second, Kamari. I probably did, but let me look at it. Let me look. About the check your knowledges?
No, the
No. Oh, sorry. Hold on.
my Wi-Fi was going out, and I texted.
Oh, yeah. And you watched the video, right?
Yeah, I watched the videos that I missed.
And that was on day 2?
Day 2 and 3.
Day 2 and day 3. Okay. I will make sure. Hold on a second. Kamari. Day 2 and 3?
Yeah.
And 3. Okay. Great. I will fix that for you as well.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Kamari. Amy, Kyle, Austin, are y'all good?
I was just checking on those things that were not open earlier.
Oh yeah, I have not opened them up yet. I was gonna do it in a few minutes.
Okay, thank you.
All right, yeah, no problem, Amy.
Have a good day,
Bye.
Jeff.
You too. Austin, are you good? All right, guys, y'all have a good day. I'm gonna close out.